Hello and welcome to Om Shanti Healing's podcast, The Spiritual Connection. My name is Jill. I have been in the healing arts since 2008, self-employed, helping people with physical, emotional, spiritual, and energetic issues. I have learned a lot over the years of doing healing work, and now I'm ready to share with the masses. I hope you do enjoy my podcast. Subscribe below if it feels good to you, and let's get rolling. Hello and welcome to episode 6. In today's episode, we're going to talk about masculine energy versus feminine energy. As you have listened in episode 2 about the chakra system, there are also the masculine and feminine energy channels. The strength of these channels is not necessarily determined by your gender, but one is typically more dominant than the other in most cases. However, with both energies present, women do tend to lean into the more feminine, as men do tend to lean into the more masculine. Perhaps this is due to social stereotypes to some degree, but we also have innate traits as male and female that are deeply rooted in our ancestral roles. This is not always the case, depending on life circumstances, experiences, and also preferences. These channels, as well as our chakras, govern our personalities, how we view the world and others, including ourselves. Our belief systems are part of this, opinions, and our judgments and motivations around life and decision making. We all have character traits of both, and you will be able to determine here whether your energy is more masculine or feminine. You may find you are very much one-sided in your energy, and this can also relate to the physical pain you carry. As a healer and a body worker, I see this often on my table. So as you listen, begin to check in on your pains and on your character traits to determine alignments there that perhaps you are heavily on one side more than the other. The balancing of both energy centers will offer you the best quality of life and keep the mind and body in a state of homeostasis. So let's dive in a little deeper. The masculine energy channel flows up the right side of your body, from the root chakra at the base of your spine, up through the third eye chakra between the brow line. Qualities of this channel reflect assertion, dominance, and drive. It represents action, cognition around progress, and movement forward to complete goals. The strengths in this channel are plentiful. The energy channel requires action to get the job done. The strongest attributes here are perseverance, clarity of focus, and creativity. The entrepreneurial spirit, if you will, can be very masculine. The drive to keep going and never feel like the job is done. You reach a goal, and then after that, there's more goals ahead of you. The masculine energy favors our analytical skills and problem solving, the logical mind and reasoning around an issue that can place judgment on scenarios to get to a conclusion. It is skilled at assessing positive and negative outcomes and the discernment of result with a rational mind. When the masculine energy is not in balance, it can have a very negative impact on our lives and those around us. When the energy is misused, it can lead to character traits that are most unattractive to be around. This can include harsh judgment of others and of yourself. It can also include critical, negative energy around most situations and just a bad attitude overall. It can make one arrogant, intolerant, and ego-driven. There can be harsh, critical judgment of others and their ability to do it the way you do it, or their inability to do it the way that you want them to do it. They can be very resentful of others without any sense of empathy or compassion for someone struggling. Often these obsessive traits correlate to a deeper trauma and conflicts in the subconscious mind. Or sometimes, perhaps, they are very conscious. There's sometimes or usually a little bit of both going on. These traits could have evolved over time from deep wounds, a sense of pain or loss. Maybe there's some resentment deeply buried inside you, or a pain in regard to father issue that is still sitting on the right side of the body. Most of this right side masculine energy correlates to father issues or unresolved father issues, or sometimes it's just a missing of your dad and you had a great loving relationship and you're just sad that he's gone. This can also sit on this side as well. Remember those internal messages we talked about in episode 4? Well, those messages from the past can create who you are today. Those experiences can create every aspect of the person you have become. Now, whether you are male or female, masculine energy is necessary to survive and function in the world. We must have both. Whether they're balanced or unbalanced, we need both sides. Here's a story. My energy is very masculine, more so than feminine, I think, and I feel in my body that that's the case. I have experienced deep loss as a child that put me into a state of fight or flight for most of my life. This over time has evolved in some chronic nerve pain on my right side. I had to grow up quick to survive. I was constantly in a survival mode and urgently seeking a solution to my anxiety due to this experience. I have, over time and years of working at it, have resolved a lot of my PTSD through the healing modalities and the mindset I have learned over many years of seeking and doing healing work. The loss of my father and the fear around that led me to make a lot of decisions since that moment out of fear back in my younger years. Those choices weren't in my best interest back then, but at the time, you do your best to survive. I lost my dad, and I then married into the same personality out of fear. Now that I am free from that bondage, the pain is healing. How did I become aware of the pain being my trauma, abuse, and fear stuck in my right side? Well, I researched a lot. 20 years in the healing industry, you tend to do a lot of learning, and as an entrepreneur, you're always expanding your mind. I learned a lot about how pain is emotional first, and how we can stuff it out of fear and avoidance rather than walking through the hard stuff. See more about this in episode 3 for more information on emotional feeling into your physical pain. This pain festered in me for years in my body, and I just tolerated it, not knowing why. Now I know why. Honestly, the deepest turning point for me was finally having the clairaudience developed enough in my years of healing work to reach my dad in spirit and resolve a lot of my rejection issues. I got answers to my feelings of not feeling wanted by my dad when I was a kid. And he told me his side of the story. It blew my mind. I didn't even know if I really believed it in the moment, but the stuff that was coming through was not my voice. It was not my mind speaking. And I heard his side, and it turns out that those assumptions that I had for so many years, over 24 years, were way off. Once he explained to me why he behaved as he did, raising us, it brought a lot of healing to my heart and my body. He died when I was 19, and took years for him to ascend. It took years for me to be open enough to communicate with him. This healing helped me so much. It helped me feel accepted and loved by my dad, something I questioned for over 24 years after he passed away. It helped me turn the page of the dark night of my soul that I was right in the middle of when this happened. It was a turning point in my life. And I began to heal from my divorce pain that was very much linked to that feeling of abandonment in my childhood and that feeling of rejection from my dad. There was so much overlap there, stuffed in my right hip, in my back, and down my leg. Once I resolved a lot of this, it began to heal my body. And I'm working to be more expressive and honor more of my feminine side right now in my life, to find a balance. This is challenging because so many embedded messages about fear and poverty and homelessness and abandonment, fear of rejection from my ex-spouse and my dad, and so much more of that just like sitting inside me. I'm purging and moving through it and getting out of that pattern. So many years of the males in my life being emotionally unavailable has led me to love myself more and understand them better. The point that I'm getting at here is that when you listen to this podcast and begin to realize the work you may need to do to find balance, there are ways to do this. The first step is awareness. You got to work at it and you got to be deeply honest with yourself. But it can be done. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in a bit. Let's move on to feminine energy. The energy flow on the left side of your body, from the root chakra up through that third eyebrow chakra, contrary to the right side energy channel, the feminine energy is more flowing and dynamic. Its movements can't be predicted or always explained with a rational mind. It's very emotional. This energy is not constrained by social norms because it does not allow or follow any rules other than the guidance that comes from the heart. Qualities of the feminine are joy, desire, emotional maturing, and emotional intelligence. The ability to regulate emotions with empathy and compassion for yourself and for others. Joy is a predominant quality of the feminine. There's more on joy in episode 5. The left channel is also the channel where we hold past emotions and memories. We store our innate nurturing traits and our mothering love of our babies here. Feminine traits around emotional stability also include our ability to self-soothe, self-care, and self-love. The feminine channel has open lines of quality communication, prioritizing their feelings and making judgment calls outside of rational thinking. It supports our joy and belongingness to our tribe, our desire to take care of others and make sure everyone is okay. This is all feminine left side. When we do too much taking care of others and disregard our energy needs, imbalance can result from this. And when the feminine is out of balance, we can become overly emotional and just completely exhausted. This can lead to low self-esteem and higher levels of anxiety and depression. Lower feminine energy correlates to self-indulgent behavior that could be unhealthy or destructive. Then this leads to excessive guilt and shaming oneself. We can be obsessive about intimacy and sex and desire more from our partner to stimulate our imbalances. Imbalance in the feminine can also correlate to deeply rooted resentment or pain with our mothers. Unresolved issues. Also, if there's a healthy relationship there with your mom, this can also be just missing mom and loving mom and wishing she was still here. That can also sit on that left side. So, how do these energies affect our relationships? Men and women have different brains. They're wired just differently. The male brain is wired from front to back with few connections across the two hemispheres. Women, on the other hand, have more wiring from left to right, so the two hemispheres are more interconnected. Have you ever heard that men are in-the-box thinkers and women are out-of-the-box thinkers? Men are very black and white, and ladies are 50 Shades of Grey. Even though everyone, without determining the gender, can combine both energies, masculine and feminine, there are two different polarities there. However, each individual has one kind of energy that is more prominent than the other one. Which channel do you feel is more dominant in you? Why do you feel this way? These differences can attract another human being to fit the puzzle that one is lacking. The yin and the yang, if you will. You can be attracted by your opposite, as they say, and then you find that balance. The relationship that's built by two people can become dismantled and thrown off balance when the balance is not equal or in a place where both partners are content. For example, the masculine partner has defaulted too far over their feminine tendencies with their feminine partner, who is also in their feminine tendencies, or vice versa. When the polarity is out of balance, the relationship starts to become disharmonic and dismantled. With more frequent misunderstandings, disconnect, conflict, and ultimately a complete break in sexual intimacy, this can lead you both down a lonely road and a potential breakup. To solve this conflict caused by imbalanced energy, we don't have to ask our significant other to be more feminine or more masculine, as we can't control people and their energy, which is not supposed to be something we aim for anyways. We both have to work at the relationship so both partners are content. This requires adaptability and flexibility. What we can do to recover from the energy imbalance is by being intimate with one another. And I don't mean sexually, I mean by communicating and being honest, addressing the problem and finding a solution together without placing blame or shame or using the words always or never. Check in with how far you may be on the masculine side or how far you may be on the feminine side in comparison to your partner. And do this internally, not judgmentally, pointing fingers and blame. Just do a check-in. Work together with your partner to balance things out. So here are a few examples to be more feminine that you can bring into the relationship if you so want to. One thing is to be more expressive, showing your feelings more, expressing your feelings more, having more feelings. Be a better listener for your partner. And listening doesn't mean just waiting to respond. Hearing is one thing, listening is another. You listen to your partner. That requires silence and taking turns speaking, so being respectful of their speaking time. Showing more affection and planning romantic dates. Being more emotionally available overall and more open. Now, if you needed to be more masculine and kind of ramp that energy up a little bit, here are a few examples to expand on the masculine. You can start a new hobby together. Find a common interest that you both have that you can learn and talk about together. My partner and I sing together. He's a musician. He's been playing the guitar for 35 years and singing, and we've been together 5 years, and 4 years into the relationship I started singing with him, and we're gigging together, and I'm up on stage singing for the first time in my life as part of my healing journey, and I'm learning the mandolin. We have this common interest, and it bonds us. Something that we can always talk about, and it never gets boring. There's always conversation around the next songs we want to learn and the next place we're going to gig and booking gigs and so forth. And it really connects us. Commonalities are important. They say opposites attract, but if you're not vibing with someone that's totally opposite of you and you want somebody in your life to partner with that you have more things in common, then you got to make that judgment call. And if you're with a partner already and you've kind of lost your togetherness, Find a new common thing to bond over. I tell you, it's huge. Okay? So as we close our podcast today, kind of reflect. Do you feel that you have a better understanding of the two energy channels, and what side do you feel is more dominant in you? When is your most common pain, and where is it? Do you have a trigger that activates a pain in your body? When someone says something to you or you experience something, do you feel something kind of flare up? And where is that located? Do you carry your pain on one side only? And how can you relate this to the two channels? Just take a moment there to reflect. You can certainly comment below if you want to send me a text on it. Thank you for listening. We're going to close for today. I appreciate your time. Have a good week, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye. That's a wrap for today, folks. Thanks for spending the time with me. And don't forget to check the notifications below on my social media links, my YouTube channel with self-care and meditations, as well as my omshantihealing.com website, where you can get info on spiritual coaching and my online courses. And as always, if you do enjoy my podcast, don't forget to subscribe or sponsor below. We'll talk to you soon. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Bye-bye.